What's up, water polo fans? Christian Pedersen, Professor Emeritus, Mr. Tom Atwell. He knows everything about this sport, so that's why we host a podcast with him. We're closing in on mid-season now for water polo. Teams are starting to focus more on league play, and well, I'll say this: nothing makes sense in this world right now. Nothing. There is so much jam-packed into the top 10 teams in this county. So let's just dive straight into what we were talking about as we were walking over to the side of the pool. Cathedral over Bishops. So 9-8. Where does that put us?
Yeah, they had a close game the first time, and Bishops came out on top by 1, and now they match up again, and Cathedral gets the better of them. So, I'd say that they're one of the top 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the county, and on any given day. But they're both extremely competitive this year.
So the theme of this is kind of just that, like, the open division seems like. Are we cruising toward maybe the first year where we could see a 5, 6, 7 seed in a semifinal, in a final?
Absolutely.
I mean, we've got, you talk about La Jolla now has a first-hand look at Poway, who last season was the #1 seed according to the CIF Power rankings. Obviously, right. A little bit of a strength of schedule kind of points adding up funky there, but now this year it seems like maybe Poway has made that leap.
Right. We played them this last Saturday morning in the America's Finest City tournament, and they were handling us from the beginning and ended up beating us 10-7. And I think just, I told the coach after the game, you guys are the real deal. So I think they should be in the conversation in the top 6, and on any given day, they could upset, any of the top 3 teams.
Speaking of real deal, we had talked a little bit about Vista with some question marks with Josh Spence and company graduating. It seems like those questions are done being answered. This team is just as good as last year's team, if not more dangerous.
Yeah, I think maybe it took them a few weeks to start to gel as a team, starting with this season, with a few of the key players from last year missing, but to watch them at the AFC this last Saturday, and they beat Coronado 14-7, I believe was the score. So really, show that they should be right there in the conversation and in the top 4 somewhere.
Give us kind of just the fallout from AFC, what you saw, how San Diego stacked up versus the rest of Southern California teams that we saw.
We are, I think our top 3 or 4 are right in the mix with the rest of the state. But there were a couple teams, we ran into Friday night a team from Redlands East that was absolutely amazing, and they ended up losing in the semifinals. Teams like Capolindo and Oaks Christian look really, really, really good, and it'll be interesting when we get now this regional state playoff that we're going to have, because we'll have a chance to see those teams at that regional, and I think any of those couple teams, Oaks Christian, Capolindo, or Redlands, could make a real run at that state championship.
Now, you bring up an interesting point that we're now into a new sort of era with it's not just section and done.
Right.
So kind of give just a 30-second explanation of how that state level playoff is going to look.
Sure. So that from San Diego we will get 5 teams that will go. We get the top 6 teams that will go. The top 4 of our divisions, the champion from the open division, Division 1, 2, and 3, all get to go. The team that loses in the championship game, so the runner-up team from the open division will get to go, and then there's going to be a 3rd place game in the open division this year, so they play that out, and the 3rd place team from the open division.
So we got our winners and then top 3 from open move on to play against Southern section and LA City section. Is that correct?
Exactly.
So really a bold new era. It seems like it's about time, because we've been talking about can Bishops be the best? Can La Jolla? Where did all these rank? Because we see these early season matchups, but then we just focus so much on San Diego for the back half of the season. Right. So that'll be kind of interesting, especially on a year where we have just parity on parity on parity, and that's not even talking about Division 1 playoffs, Division 2 playoffs.
Right.
I mean, we got teams like San Diego coming off a playoff or a finals appearance last year. They're 14-1, I think, right now, or something like that. Ridiculous. We've got some smaller teams. West Hills is having a great year. We haven't even talked about Valhalla and Grossmont today. Right. So it's going to be a great back half of the season. Just kind of putting on your soothsayer hat, crystal ball. Do you think that this will be the year where a 7 or an 8 seed makes the K Finals?
In the Open division, I think it's absolutely a possibility. I think the top 8 in the Open division, it's really going to be a battle. You're from the quarterfinals on. There's no easy game. And so, where you fall used to be you're trying to fight, do I want to be in that 3-6 game? Do I prefer a 4-5? How's it match up? It doesn't matter this year.
Bring it on. Let's have it.
Every single game is going to be a tough game. And it's interesting because in the Division 1, a team like UC, they have 3 or 4 kids that can absolutely play. And I see UC, if they don't make it into the Open division, they're going to be right there in the top 2 of Division 1.
Well, because they take on maybe the toughest league schedule of anybody, because they have to run the gambit of you guys, Bishops, Cathedral, all that Western League nonsense.
Right.
Toughens them up. That if you put them down in that D1 playoff, forget about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of tough games, you have an interestingly tough opponent on the slate for tomorrow. Tell about what's going on and what's the kind of the story behind that game.
Okay, well, we started a couple years ago, decided that we wanted to do something during the boys season. During the girls season, we have our pink game. The last couple years, it's been us and Bishops, where we try to raise some money for cancer research and cancer awareness. And so we wanted to do something with the boys team. And so we came up with this idea that the boys water polo team would play the football team in water polo.
Honestly, this needs to be the matchup that happens at every high school, because these are the 2 most macho man's type of sports.
So
other schools need to catch on here.
Yeah, the trash talking that's been going on this week between the 2 is awesome. And so that we're going to play. The football team gets 11 guys in the water, and we'll have our 7. Including the goalie, and then they get for every goal they score, they get 7 points, and then as a touchdown, and then for every goal we score, we get 1 point. So the last couple of years, we won the first year by 3 or 4 goals. Last year they beat us by a couple points. So this is the grudge match coming back this year. We'll see who's going to come out on top.
And it's all for a good cause. Money goes to cancer research.
Yeah, we're raising money for the Susan B. Komen Breast Cancer Research Foundation, so it's all going to a great cause. We actually at halftime have a belly flop contest with members from the volleyball teams, field hockey teams, all coming up to join in on the belly flop contest.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot here. Please be honest. You're not going to hurt my feelings. If this game had existed several generations ago, we're in the pool, me versus Peter Sefton. Who wins that battle?
You get dominated by Peter Sefton every time. 10 out of 10 times.
Fair enough. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to go cry in the corner and maybe do some squats or something, get a little bit stronger. Please check out that game tomorrow if you have a chance. If not, you can always donate to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. And we're talking about another month here till playoffs, and things are just going to get more and more exciting
Very interesting.
as we see what's happening. We'll see you next week, sports fans.